It's party time, my golf story brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, welcome to the program. I got a really good one. This one's going to be, talk about a trip down memory lane. I have one of my oldest, dearest friends on the podcast today, Hugh Reilly Jr. Hugh comes from what some like to call the first family of golf in Philadelphia. I grew up with him. I knew him when he was a teenager. In a lot of ways, he and his older brother, Willie, were my mentors in competitive golf. We spent a lot of time traveling together, a lot of incredible time on the golf course and off of it, just being kids. Hugh Reilly Jr. is our guest. Before we go any further, if you could help me out with a couple of things, I say this a lot, but I'm going to explain why. So it means something to you. Like the podcast, share the podcast, and subscribe to it. You hear a lot of podcast hosts mention that. They don't tell you why they do it, but the bean counters at YouTube, they follow that stuff. And eventually you reach certain numbers that we're getting close that we could actually get paid for doing this. Big thanks to Party Drinks, the title sponsor of this. If you are looking for an alternative beverage on the golf course that's better than beer, if you're tired of the old seltzers, and a lot of people are, try something new. Try a Party. You see it over my shoulder. You see it over my head. And for a list of places where you can get it on the golf course, check out drinkparty.com. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to love it because it is for golfers by golfers, and that makes all the difference. And if you have real estate needs on the Sun Coast in Southwest Florida, if your dream is to own a home on a golf course or in a golf resort community, or if you already live there and you're looking to cash out, and it's a good time to do that, nobody better than the golf real estate pros, Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro from Fine Properties. Check them out at suncoastdreams.com, or you can call them at 941-220-4000. Nobody better than them, and they'll get you all set up. All right, let's bring my boy, Hugh Reilly, into the conversation. Hugh,
hey, Kev.
It's always great to see you, man. You know how much, how important you are in my life. You're one of my dearest friends around. Where are you joining us from tonight?
I'm in my home studio at Willow Grove, right next to where we grew up.
And behind you, I can see a golf screen. I can see some swing sequences and everything. The old way of learning golf on the driving range with a golf professional, it's just times have changed. Walk me through why that is the case.
The indoor golf lessons are so much better than outdoor golf lessons. You get so much more bang for the buck. The video cameras are already set up. You get all, as you can see over my left shoulder, you get all your numbers. You get you get the club head path, the launch angle, the spin, and it's always 72 degrees. And you have perfect conditions, and it's just so much better than getting a lesson outside where you just say to your student, try this next, try that. So the pictures on the wall, I think I have Michelle Wee there. I've got Tiger Woods, got Adam Scott, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson. And so that way you can walk right over and say, look, see what they're doing? They all do kind of the same thing. Oh, they all do something different, but in a way they all do kind of the same thing as well. And to over my right shoulder, you can see the swing simulator, which is a really good device to help you find your perfect swing too.
All cool stuff, very snazzy. It is, it's the present, and it will be the future. Let me go back in time, though, if I can, and just get a little momentum going here. You, after college, and we'll get into going to Villanova, turning professional, but one of your really cool moments in life involved Jack Nicklaus. Why don't you take me back and set the stage?
That's my brush with fame, Jack Nicklaus. I mean, they say don't meet your hero, but in Jack's case, that wasn't true. It was true for Larry Boa. I don't know if you want to cut that out or not, but it was
Larry Boa, the old shortstop of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, you don't want to meet your because he kind of ignored me. I was Mr. Larry Boa. I had the shirt and everything, and I met him at a golf outing, and he wanted nothing to do with me.
but Jack was.
But meet Jack Nicklaus, though. What a great guy! I mean, for the first time I met him, I think I met him like a year earlier at some event I don't remember, and he remembered me. I mean, I only said hi to him, just incredible. And we belonged to the Loxahatchee Club, where Jack Nicklaus was also a member, and Greg Norman was a member, and Beth Daniels and Gardner Dickinson, and a bunch of other pros too. So we were very lucky to join there. And I had said hi to Jack every now and then, but I leave him alone, you know. When he's hitting balls, sometimes you're hitting balls next to him, but you're kind of scared to walk up to him and talk to him. And one time I was hitting golf balls, and I was just killing it. I mean, I was just pummeling the ball. I was hitting it so well. That was back in the days of Woodwoods, when you had a wood and a steel shaft, and that's what you got. And there was someone behind me watching me, which you kind of get used to, you know what I mean? Because I did it to people too. If someone's hitting it good, you stand behind them, like, oh, what's this guy got going, you know? So I'm just hitting golf balls, not even looking behind me. And then as I was teeing up, I looked behind me, and then it was Jack Nicklaus right behind me. I mean, I just couldn't even believe it. It was a shock in my life. I'm like, oh, God, what do I do now? So I have a whole setup routine that I do. I get behind the ball, line it up, put the club face down, line my body up, you know, do a little waggle, take it back nice and slow. All that was out the window. I was so nervous. To this day, it was probably the most nervous I've ever been, or right up there anyway. And so I just run to the ball, I guess, took it back and hit like a foot behind the ball went straight up in the air. And I was just like, oh, I was so embarrassed. I said, Jack, I swear I haven't done that since before high school. And he says, well, you just did it there. Just like, oh, that's so embarrassing. So then,
but then it continued, right? Like later out on the golf course, like he never forgot that, and he brought it up again.
Well, he was shooting a video. I think he was shooting the Golf My Way video. He was shooting some video series. So he was on the 10th tee as I rounded 9, and I was on the 10th tee, and there he was again watching me. And he looked at me, he was just smirking, and I just drilled it down the middle. And he goes, you made up for it. You redeemed yourself. That's what he said. I was just like, thank goodness, you know.
Oh, so, man, that is super cool, because he let you have it a little bit, but then he restored you and built you back up.
Now, after the round, my dad made me go up to him and ask him a question, because I had a driver, a McGregor driver, that said LFF on it. Now, it was designed, I believe, by Tony Penna. And Tony Penna was at the Loxahatchee Club, too. He gave me a couple lessons. I used to hang out with Tony Penn at his house, actually, on the water. He was a very friendly guy. And it said LFF. My dad says, go ask Jack what LFF means on the driver. And so, I don't know, can we curse in this podcast?
Oh, yeah, you sure can. Yeah, this
you can bleep it out.
Oh, we're gonna listen. You asking me to curse? You taught me how to curse, so why don't you just keep it real, and we'll act like we did when we were junior golfers. Go ahead.
So I woke up to Jack. I said, "Hey, Mr. Nicklaus, my dad wanted me to ask you on this old McGregor driver." It says because the driver was a bigger head, and it actually had a lot of wood bored out of it, so they could make the head bigger. And I said, "What does LFF mean?" He goes, "Means let the fucker fly." So I heard Jack Nicklaus curse.
I've heard that too, not in that particular fashion, but I heard Jack has a much saltier tongue than people realize. Look, I think it's just part of language. Now, I grew up in a house that was largely profanity free. I mean, usually profanity, that was bathroom talk, and that would get your mouth washed out with soap many times. But you and your older brother, Will, I never heard profanity until I really met up with you guys. So what was the backstory about profanity in your house?
Well, my mom was an angel, so we never said anything around her like that. And my dad was very, very good with that too, until something didn't kind of go his way. He's got a wrench slip or something didn't go right. And then he would always blurt the fuck, fucker or something like that, And me and Willie, we were kids, like, hey, we learned a new word. We learned like SpongeBob says, we learned a sentence enhancer. And so then whenever something happened to us, it's not like walked around and said, "Hey, let's get a fucking cheeseburger." But if you hit a bad shot on the course, like fuck, then you'll come out with it. So, but yeah, we just used it. It just kind of came out.
Well, eventually it rubbed off on me for better or worse. But do you remember that one? It was a very embarrassing incident. So, okay, I'll tell that story. Then I'll back it up. I'm all over the place with my timeline here. It doesn't matter. But we were playing at the Abington Club, and the second tee was right next to a pretty busy intersection. Remember that? There's like a traffic light right there. Mm-hmm. And I was playing with you and Willie, and I blocked the ball out of bounds, and I unleashed a torrent like never heard before, or probably never said since. And then I heard a familiar voice from behind me say, "Kevin." And I turn around, and it's Claudia Smolda, my best friend's mother. And you know how it is. It's like when you disappoint your parents or your friends' parents, and it was like the blood just drained out of her face, and I'm like, "Oh man, I'm in trouble," because she's gonna. The parents had the underground pipeline.
Oh yeah, your dad would have walloped you.
Oh my gosh, she never told anybody. God bless her. I love her. So anyway, let's go back to when we first met. What are your memories of me? Because I have a couple of memories of you.
Okay. The very first time I met you, and I always remember it, I was walking up the Abington Club Pro Shop door, and I opened it up, and there you were. I think my brother was there too, or something like that. And I said, "Hey, little guy, how you doing?" He's like, "All right." And I think, what were you, 11, maybe?
Yeah, I was in 6th grade, so it was 1981.
Oh, wow. Jeez. And I said, "Hey, how'd you do out there?" And you were like, "Oh, I shot 38. Oh." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure you did, kid. 38. Because you got to remember, I didn't believe you. And immediately I thought, here we go again, because so many people lied about their score. There wasn't an 11-year-old in Pennsylvania shooting 38 in 1981. So I didn't believe you. And then I played with you a few days later, a week later, and sure as hell, I think you even shot better than 38. I couldn't believe how good you were.
Well, your mother kind of orchestrated this. There was an article that was in the Times Chronicle, which was a newspaper of record, in which she conspired with one of the sports writers to do a feature story about me. And it talked about me playing at the Abington Club and just like what my golf background was and who my heroes in the game were. And remember back when you got your name in the newspaper, it really meant something. It was really cool. Yeah. So this nice article came out, and I saw it. Like your mother must have clipped it and put it on the cash register at the Abington Club, and I was beaming with pride. And then I came back a couple days later, and it was defaced. Somebody took a blue ballpoint pen, scratched out my name, or put a line through it, and then wrote above it "hacker," and then did the same thing with Jack Nicklaus. Do you want to confess to that now?
I'll deny it. I'll go to my grave denying that. It does sound like something I would do, but I don't remember doing that.
Okay, that's all the proof we knew. Does it sound like something? Of course it sounds like something you would do. So it was you. All right. Hey, let's go even further back in the time machine. Where does your golf journey begin? Who first put a club in your hand?
Well, the very first time I grabbed the club was my mom's dad, who was an avid golfer, and he took me, Susie, and Willie out to a field, and we were just hitting balls. And we even have a home movie of it, actually. And Susie almost collaborated with the club. So that was the first time I touched the club. But then a few years later, when my dad used to take me to work with him, then I started golfing. So probably about age 5 or 6 is when I first started golfing.
What was that like going with the old man to the golf course?
It was great. It was awesome. I mean, it's what every boy wants to do. You want to go with your dad and hang out with the guys and, whatever they're doing. And, they're playing golf. You want to play golf. Your dad obviously is your hero, and everyone he hangs out with is your hero too, or your role models. And that was a lot of fun. I think that's something that's missing in today's culture. Everyone they go on play dates, they're in school, but that was a lot of fun. It was great.
You mentioned your 2 older siblings, Susie being your oldest sister, the oldest of 7 Reilly children, and Willie, your older brother. when you guys started playing golf and getting good, you and Willie were very competitive, and sometimes it turned a little ugly or bloody. What's the story with you knocking Willie's teeth out with a golf club?
Oh man, yeah. Well, okay, he had already had his teeth knocked out in the skateboarding accident. So we had 2 caps there, and we were playing a match. Willie knows better than me. He's got a memory like an elephant. And he birdied the first hole, right?
This is in high school, right, Hugh?
It's a high school match. It's a high school golf match. We play for Bishop McDevitt. I think we're playing Doherty or Judge. So then, of course, then I go to tee, like I go up on the tee, and it's the same exact tee where you got caught cursing. And I make a backswing, not really realizing he's there, and I caught him right in the mouth. Teeth pop out, blood's everywhere. As soon as I turn around, I look at him, I go, ah, shit. And I just started running. And he got a golf club, and he said, you mother. And he just tomahawked it at me. And with the grace of God, I fell down, and the club went right over my head. It almost hit me. It would have knocked me out. But that's a typical day for us.
Yeah, it is, but it's not for those that are witnessing this stuff for the first time. What were your opponents from whatever school it was? What were they thinking as it's going on? And then how did the match end? Because it ended. You guys finished the match. That wasn't the end, like his teeth being knocked out.
That was the second hole.
So he finished the match.
Now, Willie's like Ronnie Lott. He'd have cut his, he's going to finish the match.
Finished the match. You guys won, and he walked in with a bloody shirt, and there was bloody hell to pay because the coaches, because your mother was the coach of the team, and wanted to know what the hell happened, right?
Well, he comes on bloody. Now, me and Willie were a little late for the match, so we actually teed off last with the 2 worst players on their team. Because back then you sent the better players off first. But so they were, I think they were at 30 shots ahead, and with just me and Willie to come with only one group. So they won, obviously, at least they think they did. And I shot 33 and Willie shot 32. And the guys we were playing with, who we both shot 60, so we wound up winning. And Father Green was so mad that he just went right to and Father Green's a great guy. He just went right to his van and left. But Willie was just blood. I mean, blood everywhere. The shirt was soaked in blood. It's like, golf's a tough sport, man, And the guys playing with us they were just like scared of us, I think, at that point. They were like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, I did a lot of traveling with you guys, mostly around Philadelphia, but occasionally we'd take bigger trips, and it was always in the 68 red Camaro, and you always drove. Why did you drive instead of Willie? Because oftentimes it's the older sibling that drives, but not so in your case.
Well, Willie liked to sleep, so, and I was a little more particular about the driving. He was really, really good with the eyes to see where the cops were. So he was looking out for the cops, and I was driving, and he wanted me to drive, so I drove. So
simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. He didn't like drive. He liked to just, remember he always reclined the seat. You remember that?
He did.
Sleep. Yeah.
Right. First car I ever drove was a 68 red Camaro with Willie at the old Hidden Springs, right by the Willow Grove Air Base. I think I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was on the gas pedal, it was just a lever. There was no like foot pad to put.
Yeah. We were like race car drivers. They take that off. You don't need that.
Oh man, we had some good times. So let's talk about traveling together, because I think my game blossomed being around you guys. You were older. I could see maybe this is where I'm going with ability, with game management, whatever it is. And so we would travel down to the South, either Maryland or North Carolina. And you guys would drive, because I started going with you when I was 13. You're 5 years older than me. So you were 18 and Willie was 19 or 20. And one memorable trip, we were going to Whispering Pines in North Carolina, and we broke down on I-95 in Maryland because somebody didn't put there was no oil in the car. All right. So what happened? Who's responsible for that?
Well, that was the silver Audi, and I don't know. Probably I blame it on my dad. I didn't know to put oil in the car back then. I just drove it, And
it couldn't have been your dad. Your dad was practically a mechanic or whatever. But so we're driving along, and all of a sudden the car stops.
Well, as soon as we get in the car, it's going clink, 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 clink. And I'm thinking, well, that's just normal. I guess that's what the noise cars makes. I guess these German cars just make a weird noise. And we made it as far as Maryland, Elkton, Maryland, and we threw a rod. Smoke everywhere. It was right next to the statue of the Virgin Mary. Remember?
I don't remember that, but I do remember the 76 truck stop, and I do remember where we ended up with the car. We ended up in this junkyard in Elkton, Maryland, and all I could think of was Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, just completely backward ass. I thought our lives were in danger because, here, we look the part. We look like golfers. We're dressed like we are now, wearing Bermuda shorts and golf clothes. And the folks that were running the junkyard or the mechanic shop were quite a bit different. What's your memory of that?
Well, I couldn't believe it was so close to Pennsylvania. I'm sure they're great people. They're very nice to us, but I couldn't understand a word they were saying. It was straight out of Deliverance. So I couldn't even believe it. And their porch furniture, for real, used to be their inside furniture. They just move it out. And I was looking at it, I was just like, and I think Jeff Foxworthy actually made a joke about that, but it's true. And the two kids that were helping us, they were kids, maybe about our age, were like the dirtiest, grimiest kids you've ever seen. But then remember, they went inside and they got all washed up. They were going on dates, remember? You remember that? And they came outside. We didn't recognize them.
Right, because they had the work that they were doing on cars was such a dirty job. They were covered in grease and coveralls, and they were looking at us like we were from a different planet, and we were looking at them like they were from a different planet. But then ultimately, we got a hold of your dad and my dad, and they drove down together with a flatbed truck, got this silver Audi, drove that home, dropped off a Bronco, and off we went to North Carolina. And I think, well, I know I did good. I won one of the events, and I may have came in second in the other one. But just a thought that a 13 or a 14-year-old kid, or even you guys, I mean, you were older than me. Would you ever let your kids do such a thing, like drive 750 miles and be away from home for 2 weeks and just, have free range of everything?
I don't know. My son right now is in Longyearbyen in Norway. You might want to look that up because it's the northernmost airport in the world. He's practically in the Arctic Circle. So, and that has me really nervous. But would I let my kids do that right now? Only because we did it, maybe. But I want to say no. That because I was 16 the first time you jumped in the red Camaro and we went on a trip. Your dad trusted you to a 16-year-old, and Willie was 17. I'm positive that if it wasn't North Carolina, then it was definitely the Reading tournaments. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was close stuff because you guys were my ride and you were my friends. And I think my dad just the whole thing was he's like, they're golfers. How much trouble can they really get in? I mean, we know where they're going. They're in a good environment. They're around good people. And look, I think we came out all right. So your dad was the first club pro in the family, then Willie followed, then you followed, and your younger brother Mike followed. I mean, did you always feel like golf was your destiny? And if so, at what time in life was that?
Very early on. I knew I just wanted to be a golf pro or even teach golf, try to make it on the tour. I knew that was a long shot, but I still tried. Came pretty close a couple times with 4 spotters, missed it by 1 shot like 4 times. Lost in a playoff 3 times to get in what was then the Nike Tour. So I got pretty close. And I played some good golf for a while. But, mainly the thing I really loved is just being at the golf course, playing whatever you wanted to play, giving lessons. It was just like if you have to do something, when you want to do that? And, I don't regret it. It was really fun.
Our guest today on It's Party Time, My Golf Story, is my dear old friend, Hugh Reilly from Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. We grew up together, played junior golf together, played amateur golf together, have played in different pro-ams. And Hugh, you've been one of my great friends for a long, long time. And I appreciate all that you've done for me. And hopefully I've been able to do some things for you because our relationship is grounded in golf. We've been through so much together in golf. Where would your life be without golf? Can you even wrap your head around that?
I'd probably be a billionaire. To be honest, I graduated computer science in 1987, and from Villanova, and got offered a couple jobs doing this or that. I coded for a little bit. But I figured, where are computers going? 1987. So it's like, but I got into the golf business. But so I would have been a billionaire if I stuck with computers. But got involved with the golf business and never looked back. I just loved it. I loved, believe it or not, I just loved waking up at 5 or 6 in the morning, getting in there by 7. Setting everything up and giving lessons and eating hot dogs, dating snack bar girls. It was a great life. It was really fun playing the golf tournaments. So, yeah, if it wasn't for golf, I don't know. I met a kid once when I was a teenager, and I always remember this. And I said to him, "So where do you play?" And he's just like, "Play what?" I'm like, "Golf." And he's like, I don't play golf." And I was just like, "Well, what do you do all day?" I just boggled my mind. I didn't understand. That's how ingrained golf was with us. We just played it all day long, and we weren't playing. Then we were fixing the range and that, or picking balls, or fixing carts, or doing something like that. It was really, really fun to be involved in the family business because my mom was involved in the pro shop, my dad ran the place, and all the other kids were involved too. So it was really fun. Kept our family really tight knit.
Yeah, no question about it. How many times did you win as a pro?
About 7 or 8 times. All of them pro-ams except for one big victory. I count the pro-ams as big victories too because they only invite the best pros to the pro-ams, but only one big one, considered a points event. Mainly I had lots of top 10s, lots of top 20s. And I was content with that. That was my problem. I was really content with just going out and playing. Should have been a little more thirsty to win, but I just like playing. I would have a good time if I shot 80. That was always my problem.
Take me back to the big win. Lowest round you ever shot was probably in the most important tournament you ever played, Haverford Trust Classic in 2011. What happened?
Okay, yeah, 2011 Haverford Trust Classic. I shot 65, which is 7 under. Now, I shot 5 under lots of times. Most pros have. I shot 5 under once in tour qualifying and 4-spotter and missed it by a shot. But I never shot 6 under, and I certainly never shot 7 under. And it happened at the exact right time. It was the biggest one-day purse in America, and I think it still is. Back then, it was $45,000 to win. Now, last year was 150. But so about 2 months before the tournament, like right at the beginning of the year, like late March, early April, Alex McPherson, who was one of our PAL kids, the Police Athletic League, we kind of took him under our wing and let him, play golf for free. I gave him free lessons. He came to me and said, Hugh, you're going to win the Haverford this year, and I'm going to caddy for you. So what do you pay me? And I said, well, I'll give you $50 or 10%, whatever's more. And I knew that I was just going to be giving him $50 because Alex was too stupid to know that I couldn't win the tournament. And sometimes you need people like that around. So this is a really, really cool story. So he took me down every day to the range and retaught me everything I taught him over the years. He said, that's not the way you told me to grip it. That's not the way you told me to make a backswing. That's not how you told me to set the ball up. And, we even got in fights about it. While I was doing book work, he goes, we're going down and practicing. I said, no, we're not. And I want to do it. And we yelling at each other in a friendly way, though. And he just grabbed me and pulled me down and forced me to practice. And the Haverford was, I think, it was June 1st, I think. And I think it was only my second round of the year because I just wasn't playing that year. I was just hitting balls with him. And went out on the golf course, and he lined me up on my shots, and he helped line my putts up, and I shot 7 under.
It was a magical day, but it wasn't without some drama. So at some points, you're having near panic attacks. You're having trouble getting out of the cart. What's going on?
Yeah. Okay, so I finished the front 9 at 2 under, and I had already missed like 3 putts inside 5 or 6 feet. One of them was like 2-foot putt. I'm not even lying. It was 2 feet, but it was so slopey. So making the turn, I told Alex, we blew it. We just blew this tournament. And Alex was lining my putts up. And I was kind of missing him. I'm thinking, well, Alex isn't doing it because we never even practiced him lining my putts up. He's just behind me looking where my putter's going. Back when you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back 9, then I birdied 10, 11, 12. And I can't believe the putts are going in because I'm not even looking. He lines me up and then I putt it.
So now you're 5 under.
So now I'm 5 under. And now the first thing I did actually went through my mind was I started to get a little cocky. I'm like, I'm 5 under, man, like I'm really playing good, And so I pulled the driver out on 13 and I just wailed at it, thinking it would go down the middle, but it didn't because my old swing came back and it went left into the woods. It almost went out of bounds. And on the next shot, he said, well, just chip it out, middle of the fairway, and then get your bogey. I said, no way. I'm going between those 2 trees. It was a very, very narrow shot. And he goes, don't do it. Don't do it. I said, I'm going to do it. So I thought it was going to be a tin cup moment, but I actually pulled the shot off. It ran up onto the green. And it was definitely the best shot of my life. There's no doubt about it. It was also the stupidest shot of my life. That was really a dumb thing to do. But it worked out. And then when we got off that tee, then I started getting really, really nervous. Because I never really thought I'd win, no matter what I was. And then I realized, holy crap, I could win this tournament. And I'm sitting in the cart, and he's like, Hugh, time to hit the ball. I'm like, I can't. So it's like grabbing onto the pillars of the cart, and he's pulling me out of the cart. It was like a sitcom. And I'm just like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Is your playing partner taking notice of this too and wondering what the hell's going on?
They're not saying a word to me. It's like a pitcher that's hot, They weren't even looking at me. And I didn't know this till later. A good friend of mine, Alex Knoll, was playing with him. He's a great player. He's won more tournaments. This is about anyone. The Philly Sexton. He's won the Sexton Championship. Just a great player. And I didn't even know these guys were noticing. So on 15, straight up the hill, par 3, I hit it in the bunker. Then I hit it out at maybe about 10 feet. And I said, Alex, line me up on the right edge because this is going to go left. He goes, no, this is going to go right. I said, Alex, just line me up where I tell you to. And so he lines me up, and then I putt it, and the ball's going right to the left edge. And I said, I told you to line me up on the right, and the ball just breaks right into the hole. And Alex Knowles in the back of the green, and he's like, yeah! And he just yells. I'm like, what the hell is he yelling at? And I'm like, oh my God, he's yelling because he's following me.
He's pumped up for you. So take me to the end. Just you're trying to get it in at some point. Take me to 8. Okay, go ahead.
16 is a really funny story, too, because it's a par 5. I had 3 shots on the green, and I'm way above the pin. And if anyone's played Sunnybrook, and that pin was front right, I just tapped the ball, and I was walking with it. I was walking with the ball like this, and it just kept going, just slowly. And it got near the hole. I'm just like, no. And it just went in the hole. It was like a 30-foot putt.
So now
like
you're 6 under.
Now I'm 6 under on the next hole. I don't know if everyone wants to hear the play-by-play, but I was so nervous. I hit it right on the top, and I was a par 3. I hit it right on the top of the club face. The ball literally landed halfway to the green, but it was hard, and it just rolled up the whole way to like 15 feet, and I made the putt. So now I'm 7 under.
And now you're just trying to get it in. You're just trying to par 18?
Yeah, and the 18th hole was where I was most nervous. I thought, if I screw this up, my wife's going to divorce me. And but I managed to actually lip it out for birdie there too. I almost had 8 under. And then I just had to wait and see what was going to happen. But it was one of those rounds. To this day, I don't remember any shot from hardly any round. I remember every single shot from that round.
Yeah, because you were locked. You were locked in. You were just you were in the zone. Whatever that is. What was the feeling when it was all done? Did you cry?
I might have a little bit. I might teared up a little bit. It was a lot of drama though, because I usually eat everything in sight. I just eat it. I can't stop eating, but I couldn't eat anything. And they had this big buffet. They got steaks and burgers. It's a big event. All the members are there. And when I tapped it in on 18 too, everybody was on the porch, hundreds of people, and they all go crazy. They're like, they're yelling. And it's weird that I forgot there's a big scoreboard. So everyone was following my progress. So I was like star for the day. I always remember it. It was a great experience. Everybody should have that experience. But then when I got done, I'm looking at the scoreboard and there's Travis Debert's out there. And he doesn't care. He doesn't get nervous when he's under par. I think he won it before. Came in twice a couple times. He's just a badass. He's like Mr. Clean, He's the kind of guy that fishtails his car in and then punches the valet. You know what I mean? He's just he just doesn't care.
So you got to sweat it out and wait for him to come in.
Oh,
he comes in, and what happens to him on 18?
Turn 3 under, and then he's like 4 under, and then he's 5 under, then he's 6 under. And this is in a tournament where 1 under or 2 under usually wins. 1 under won last year because it's a really hard course. On the 18th hole, he had about a 10 or 12 foot putt to tie me, and I thought for sure he was. I knew he was going to make it because the year before I was leading. I was sitting in the clubhouse leading the whole day, and Dave Quinn tied me on his last hole, and then I lost in the playoff. I go, well, here we go again, right? And I couldn't.
So he's got a putt to tie.
Yeah, he's got a putt to tie, and I couldn't see the green because I was in the pro shop level because my family came, and all I hear was like that. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, it's supposed to be, you know what I mean? So I couldn't believe that he missed it. And
then you knew you won.
It felt like, and my daughter gave me a hug. He did it. It was a movie. And it felt like I was holding up a whole swimming pool full of water that just went whoosh, just like that. I still remember the feeling. It's an incredible feeling. I can't believe it's actually true. Because the best round of my life happened right at the exact time it had to.
That is super cool. Hey, listen, we're getting a little tight on time, but I want to show something here. I know that this is kind of like one of the family businesses, Hugh, is I got the Randy Myers golf stretching pole. This is for those that don't know your dad, he's like a serial inventor, right? And so he invented the stretching pole or brought it to market years ago. And I got to tell you a story. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was using it on the first tee of a local golf course here. Paul Azinger comes up, sees me doing it, and he's like, yeah, I need something like that. All right. But what's the backstory on the stretching pole and another one of the family's businesses?
Yeah, that's my dad's invention. What my dad used to do is he used to have a rope and a bar hanging from the ceiling in the basement that he would grab and then just stretch with like that. And he says, Huey, this is the best thing ever. We should sell this. And we quickly realized that golf's outside. There's no ceiling. So he made a pole and eventually put a spring on it too, so you could mimic the wrist break. And I did all the graphic art you see on there, and we make it right here in Huntington Valley. We put them all together here, and it's a pretty successful product. I mean, Greg Norman's got it in his bag, Dustin Johnson, and a bunch of other tour pros. And like you said, that Paul Azinger was interested in it, which is crazy because whenever you get a low handicap or a pro, they have to have one. They're hard to sell to high handicappers because they don't realize how important stretching is. But the better golfers understand how crucial the stretching is to golf. And so it's been very successful.
Yeah, that's cool, and it's I've had one since the very beginning, a couple different versions of it. Now the spring loaded one, and I wish you continued success with that, Hugh, and in everything you do. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the program and just being my friend. Just being with me for the ride of my life. I can't imagine somebody I'd rather do it with than you. I could say that about your brother Willie. I could say that about your brother Michael as well. But maybe we got to bring them on at some point and talk about things.
Yeah. Well, Willie remembers everything. He remembers all the stories. And there are so many junior golf stories, too. You could do an hour on that.
Okay, well let's set that up and let's say goodbye for now. Hugh, how can people get in contact with you? ReillyGolf.com, is that the best way to go?
ReillyGolf.com. I teach at 3 different locations right now. Just go to and you get my contact information at ReillyGolf.com. You can read a little bit about me and my philosophy, and yeah. That's it.
Hugh, it's always a pleasure. Let's say goodnight for now. And big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks, for a list of the places where you can purchase Party. Log on to the internet at drinkparty.com. And a big thanks to the real estate pros, Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh from Fine Properties in Southwest Florida. If it's your dream to own a home on a golf course or in a golf resort like community, similar to where I'm living right now, Lakewood National Golf Club, and Gene and Vince are your people. They're with Fine Properties, and you can find them at suncoastdreams.com or call them at 941-220-4000. For Hugh Reilly, I'm Kevin Walsh. Thanks for listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh with the suncoastdreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoastdreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.